Chief Financial Officer for the Walt Disney Company, Christine McCarthy, is out. That we found out yesterday in breaking news as the Pro Show Live began. However, there's much more to this story that is coming out now today. That's also why we have held on, waiting to make sure there was not one of those late night, Friday evening news dumps trying to hide what's really going on. We've spoken with our sources. We're ready to come forward with what we think is actually happening. And importantly, we believe this is the place to be to find out where the Walt Disney Company is going. We've got some insight, and we're ready to bring it to you. All right, folks, welcome back to another exciting video here on the WDW Pro channel. Such a joy to have each and every one of you joining us as we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and explain what is going to happen with the Walt Disney Company. Yes, we could spend much time speculating on exactly why Christine McCarthy, former CFO of the Disney Company, is stepping down, and we'll spend a few moments on that for sure. However, the real news here is being missed by many of the channels out there, although we love them all. The real news is what this means for Disney, what it means for some of the executives and studio leads, the higher ups, and specifically Kathleen Kennedy, as we move forward into a new transitory era for Disney. We'll explain it all, and I think at the end of this video, you'll conclude that there's something to this. Folks, as we do that, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. We begin today with Deadline, an article by Dade Hayes, this one out just today. Bob Iger's return engagement as Disney's CEO sees a plot twist, an abrupt exit of a long-tenured lieutenant, CFO Christine McCarthy. Now, we're not going to retread the same ground we did yesterday with the Pro Show. Get ready, strap in. Here we go with new stuff. Earnings calls, those ritualized quarterly opportunities for public companies to convey the state of their financial affairs to Wall Street analysts and investors at large, are two-handed affairs for the Walt Disney Company. Unlike other media companies which stack their calls with three or more execs weighing in on various aspects of the business, Disney's have featured only the CEO and the CFO for more than a decade. That focused approach has helped enlarge the profile of Christine McCarthy, who was promoted to CFO in 2015. Folks, before we go further, let me say this. What has made Christine McCarthy well known in the Disney fan groups, what has made her well known in the financial side of the industry watching this company, is the fact that she is probably the only CFO in modern history to actually oust a CEO. She removed Bob Chapek. We also know that she was behind the removal of Peter Rice, a huge name in Hollywood. She's also made quite a number of very controversial statements, like being happy about the filming of Mulan near the concentration camps in China. There are some issues there for sure. Let's continue on. The well-respected finance exec has articulated the strategy behind the company's many strategic moves, including massive M&A bets, preparations for the launch of Disney Plus, dramatic adjustments during COVID, and most recently, sizable cost cuts and layoffs, as well as the removal of streaming programming from Disney Plus and Hulu. And that Hulu word right there is a big one. Disney has to buy Hulu essentially. We've got reasons for saying that. We'll get into them next week. But Disney is essentially on the hook for buying Hulu. It's going to be pricey. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars pricey. And Disney may not have the cash. Disney may be going into one of the worst quarters in the modern history of the company. And now the CFO is stepping down. We've got more to explain. In August, when Disney's next reports earnings, the Duo Act will see its first change in many years after McCarthy abruptly stepped down Thursday to take family medical leave. She will stay on the payroll through mid-2024, serving as an advisor to help with the transition as longtime company veteran Kevin Lansbury becomes interim CFO and a permanent successor is chosen. There are two things we need to concentrate on here, folks. The first thing we need to concentrate on is Kevin Lansbury, and this is being missed by and large throughout the blogosphere, throughout YouTube, throughout all of the media articles that are being written, we need to focus on Kevin Lansbury, and that's what we're here to do. You see, Christine McCarthy is now the past at Disney. Speculating on why she's leaving is fine, but that's the past. Kevin Lansbury is the future. Why was he selected? Well, I've got some answers for you. Kevin Lansbury is a Disney Parks person. He's coming from a division inside Disney that is not connected with Hollywood. Remember, that's why they disliked Chapek, because he was able to come in and cut away at people connected with Hollywood who thought that they were above such actions. And that got Chapek in some trouble. Kevin Lansbury comes from that same sort of mindset. No Hollywood connections here. Kevin Lansbury also has 30 years with the company, and that means that he is likely getting near the retirement age, taking on this role as a transitory CFO. That means he is there temporarily. Signals to me that perhaps this is his swan song at the company. And if so, a transitional CFO with nothing to lose and 30 years of loyalty at the company is just the kind of person you need when you're coming in to make the heads roll. Given the situation that Disney is in, given the situation where executives are making a ton of money and the results are not good, Kevin Lansbury is just the kind of fellow to come in and fix it. Perhaps very soon we will be seeing changes at the Walt Disney Company that you did not anticipate could happen. I don't want to get your hopes up, but just know that Lansbury was selected beyond all of the other options, and there are reasons for that. Also, Christine McCarthy is largely seen as having been one of the most stalwart defenders of Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm. With Christine McCarthy gone, Kennedy loses a major ally. And as Lansbury comes in, someone with no connections to Hollywood whatsoever, perhaps Kathleen Kennedy is in even more trouble. We have reported in the past that our sources claim that Kathleen Kennedy is heading towards new contract negotiations in August. We cannot confirm that at this time, but we were reporting this before Christine McCarthy exited the building, and now this sets up a very interesting situation. We'll see what happens with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but I suspect that we have major changes coming, and I suspect that Kevin Lansbury is one of the signals that that is on the way. Now, I told you that there are two things to note about this. The second thing that we should note, and we should note it very carefully, is that Christine McCarthy is stepping down to take family medical leave. Now, I'm not here to police YouTube or the blogosphere or fans or the audience or anybody. I'm not here to tell you how to react to this. What I am here to say is that on this channel, I know that we are called upon to hold ourselves to a very high standard. Christine McCarthy is someone who has survived breast cancer a number of times. We know from sources that she would go to work, then go to receive her treatments, her medical treatments, then come back to work. That's pretty tough. Now, I disagree with the vast majority of the things that Christine McCarthy has ever done at Disney. I detest many of the decisions that she's made. I think they're anti-consumer. I think they're damaging in the long term. That said, we never wish ill upon those that we disagree with. We do not wish to see anyone suffer. And with Christine McCarthy, we know that there are very legitimate medical concerns within her family. We need to be extraordinarily careful with articles like the Wall Street Journal, which, by the way, is behind a paywall, and so we will not show it here, lest we break the ethics of displaying what they have to say when they want to be paid for showing it. But with McCarthy stepping down, just know that when it is said that she's doing so for family medical leave, perhaps that is not true. Perhaps it's not. We know that that's happened in the past where people have said they're stepping down for reasons that are not actually the real reason, of course. But I think in this case, it's better for us to be gullible if necessary. For I think it would look poorly upon all of us, and perhaps we would feel poorly about ourselves if Ms. McCarthy steps down and we ridicule Ms. McCarthy, and then perhaps 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks later, there's a tragedy. How would that make her family feel for the internet to be doing such a thing? And they have no part in the decisions of Disney. For those reasons, I think it's best to be cautious here. Yes, Ms. McCarthy could be stepping down for more dubious reasons, but it's also important to note that that might not be the case, and it's better to err on that side, I believe, than to err on the other side. If we take a look at a tweet from Valliant Renegade, the same sentiment is shared here. The Wall Street Journal this morning notes that Christine McCarthy's husband has been in a medical facility for the past 6 months. That sounds like a 24/7, 365 long-term care facility. It seems like perhaps Christine has decided she's had enough of bickering with other C-suiters and said, I'd rather be spending time with my ailing husband than this. And I wouldn't blame her one bit. Now, in the Wall Street Journal, one of the things that happens is that they talk about how this was sudden and it shocked the other executives. In fact, that's reflected here in this article by The Wrap that summarizes it. This one by Eileen A.J. Connolly. Disney CFO Christine McCarthy's sudden exit came amid clashes with Bob Iger, other execs. The issue with framing it this way, folks, is that when we receive a negative medical diagnosis, and we don't know at all what is happening here, but that's usually not made public. And that's not made public for proper reasons. We're not here to speculate or assume that's what has happened. But if it did, then we should walk gingerly and we should show compassion, even though we know that Christine McCarthy has made decisions in the past that on this channel we would be highly critical of. That does not remove or revoke the human dignity which we are attempting to aspire to show each and every day here. Let's read this article out of The Wrap now. Disney CFO Christine McCarthy's sudden exit came amid clashes with Bob Iger, other execs. It says that her abrupt departure from her post as Disney's chief financial officer was attributed to a family medical leave. And this is where it gets a little gross. But insiders say there's more to her exit than her husband's poor health. Now, one, we don't know if it is her husband's poor health. We don't know if it is Christine McCarthy herself. We don't know anything. And we also don't know what might have been said from a doctor to a family in private. So these insiders, I think, should perhaps be very careful with this. The golden rule is treat others as we wish to be treated. Now, while McCarthy's husband has been in a healthcare facility since early this year, a person familiar with her situation told the Journal there have been no dramatic changes recently that would drive her to step down. Again, that's a little bit scary because you never know what's been told to a family. We should be careful and cautious. But there were signs of strife coming from the CFO's office before the House of Mouse announced Thursday that she'd be leaving that were perhaps buried in the glowing comments that accompanied the announcement of her departure. It goes on to talk about the glowing statements that were given regarding Iger to McCarthy as she exited. And it retreads some of the same stuff we've talked about. We know that there are big issues with movies, television, streaming operations. We know there are big issues with ESPN and Disney parks. We know about Hulu. We know about the job cuts. We know that Disney continues to lose money in many of their major divisions. We know about Nelson Peltz, etc. And apparently McCarthy felt that they did not go far enough with attempting to lower the expenditures that the company is making. But part of the reason that I'm not sure that I believe this idea that there was a huge conflict between McCarthy and Iger is that McCarthy is the one who brought Iger back in. I think she's in tight with Iger. I think Iger owes her much. And also, she's staying on as a consultant. And to me, that signals someone who is in the good graces of the company. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if the health concerns are legitimate, but we should err with caution in the way that we report that. At least that's what we're going to do. No judgment here on how other channels want to cover this. No judgment here for how other media properties want to cover this. But that's our approach, to be on the safe side of this, to make sure that we don't cause extra pain to a family that has nothing to do with this at all. And really, folks, the big deal is Kevin Lansbury. Do not bury the lead. Do not lose sight of what's really happening because you're focused on a lady who has made highly divisive comments and decisions in the past. It's easy to focus on Christine McCarthy, but if you do, then you will miss what's happening in the background. Kevin Lansbury, Disney Parks person, coming to the front, transition time, at the end of his career, nothing to lose, no Hollywood connections. Pay attention to that. And if you do, I think you'll stay ahead of the culture curve, and you will understand what is to come. That's what we're here for, to explain entertainment. And even though we would love to be the bombastic channel that goes to the woodshed, taking everyone to task and calling names and being highly passionate, in this case, I think it's due to be careful and perhaps overly kind. And that's what we'll try to do. Well, folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms when you click it. We're talking about that notification bell. What did you think about this video? How did we do? Are we being too soft? Are we being too hard? We really care about your feedback in this case. Drop a comment down below and tell us what you think. This one is going to probably draw very passionate responses as people feel very strongly about Christine McCarthy, about Hollywood in general, and about how to handle situations such as this. We would love to hear your feedback. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?